No, no.
I have to say things about 8 times for my phone to hear me. Right, okay, so what we need to concern ourselves with the ones that are marked as uninhabitable. So you can see that one there that says property shell. We can see that there are 16 properties in there, of which 9 are occupied. Now, Electra is going to want to prompt you to exclude those properties from the canvas because it's marked as an uninhabitable dwelling type. So what those property shells probably are kind of halfway jobs. I think property shells are usually when they're doing like a large development build, but they haven't quite plotted out what the individual plots are going to be.
Yeah.
So it's probably just missed out on a COU file or something that would have updated those and made them residential.
Right.
So we've got 2 options. We can either choose to ignore that information, or we can review those properties and mark them as residential addresses instead of property shells. It's the same for those. The offices we're not too worried about, so a little bit further down, CO01, CO01.
Yeah.
Those are marked as uninhabitable, but there's nobody living in them anywhere. There's no one in there, so we're not worried about that one. Same with warehouses, ancillary buildings are fine, professional medical is fine, workshops is fine. There's somebody living in a college, but the rest are fine. So we only need to concern ourselves with the ones that are occupied at the moment. You could make the argument that, well, there could be somebody living in one of them that's not occupied. So we do need to have a think about what we do with those. Okay, cool. So that's just giving us an initial picture. We can also see that the suppressed sole occupancy has been applied to a couple of properties as well, which means that nobody living in a nursing home can declare themselves to be a sole occupant.
Right, yeah.
Nobody living in the blank residential category can do so as well. So, okay, I'm fine with that. Can we go to addressing and then property canvassability? So there's 4 checkboxes in here. We only really need to concern ourselves with the top 2. So the main categories are show properties with uninhabitable type and show properties with an uninhabitable state. Can you untick everything except for show properties with an uninhabitable type? So yeah, everything except for the one in the top left. So these are all the properties that we've just seen in the previous screen, but we're seeing them on an individual level now.
Right.
We can actually see which of the properties have this application against them. Can you see we've got electors registered here, the column?
Yeah.
We click by that to sort that into descending as well. So just click once and then again into 404. Oh, it's a college. Okay.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that one? What do you normally do? Route 3?
Yeah.
Route 3.
Okay, so in which case, it's commercial educational. So the BLPU description of that is correct. So what we probably need to do is mark that dwelling type, which is CE01, as habitable, because it is. There's someone living there. So we'll do that in a minute. You can't do that in this screen, unfortunately, which is a bit annoying. Okay, so the other ones, we've got the parent shells are in there, so we can see there's 3 there, 2, 2, 2, 1 and the rest. You could argue that from the sounds of it, barring that chapel, you could say that everything from High Trees down to 50 Kingsland Crescent, they don't sound like they're parent shells to me. They sound just like residential properties.
Yeah.
There's people living in them.
Yeah.
So they should probably be included in the canvas. Well, they should definitely be included because there's people living there. So my sort of temptation there would be to convert those into residential records. So if you shift click from High Trees down to 50 Kingsland Crescent.
So yeah.
Yeah, and then right click on those. And there should be an option to update property type to residential, which will remove them from this screen.
Okay.
Good. Okay. So that's what we're doing here. We're just kind of refining down the list of what we've got. So all we've got left now in terms of the occupied one is that college.
Yeah.
The rest of these are in here because they're commercial or they're parent shells. So you could make the argument that they should need to be investigated kind of individually to see if there's people living in them. And if there is, they need to be converted to residential.
Yeah.
You could make the argument that if they are commercial, then they need to be excluded from the canvas. So, for example, South Wales Police Authority Building 456. To me, I think that's a classic candidate for that's an office building by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
So if you right click on that office building, we've got two options that we're facing. We can choose, and this is kind of an extreme option. Well, not that extreme. We could choose to delete the property, right? So if there's nobody living in it, and there never will be, then what's,
why is it popping up, isn't it?
Exactly. Why keep it on there to clear up every year? The alternative is to mark it as do not canvass. So marking it as do not canvass is a temporary solution, which means that it's going to be excluded from the canvass for, usually a year up to 5 years. Which is kind of sticking a plaster over it and covering it up.
Yeah.
Whereas deleting it is more of a decisive option.
Permanent.
We don't need it. Let's get rid and be done with it. So it's really up to you. We're probably not going to be able to investigate all of these today.
No, but that's something we can just go through, isn't it?
Exactly. So the two outcomes are either you decide it is a residential building. So if you check on council tax and find that there's a liable party there that's paying normal residential rates, in which case you would right click and select update property type to residential. Yep, that one. If you determine that it is genuinely empty and will be forever and is not an inhabitable building, then you can either choose to delete the empty property because there's nobody living there, so you can delete them quite easily with delete selected empty properties. Or you can select mark selected properties as do not canvass, which is a temporary measure. It's only going to last for, usually the defaults, if you click it, it'll show you how long it'll last. It'll pop on another screen probably. So you can see it lasts until that date there. So it automatically defaults to a year. You can put it up to 5 years, I think. So you could put it to 28.
28.
7?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. No, not 28. What year is it? It's 21.
Oh, no, it's 21. Yeah, anyway, we know. Yeah. We get it.
Okay.
All right.
My day is off to a bad start when I can't remember what year it is.
I know.
So up to 5 years in there, but again, that means you'd have to be checking it over every year. Whereas if there's no chance of anyone ever living there, like a police station, then get rid.
Just get rid of it. Yeah.
So that's the first category of them. So those are the ones that are in here because their BLPU type that they're within is marked as something that people don't live in.
Right. Okay.
If we look in the property state for this table, we can see that individually they're all marked as habitable. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So every property has its individual state against it, but it also has its BLPU state, which is the state that's attached to its BLPU code. So the code in this case is the thing that's marked as uninhabitable, but the individual properties haven't been marked one way or another. They do default to habitable, which is a bit confusing. So we also need to sort out that United World College of the whatever. I don't think we can do that in here. If we just right click that, can we have a quick look? So, I mean, we could convert it into a residential, but it is a commercial facility, so we should probably keep that BLPU description in there. Can you go into addressing and then property classifications again for me? There's a lot of back and forth for this. You shouldn't have any of these.
Sorry, Paul. What's the BLPU code? Then?
Basic Land and Property Unit code. So it's the code that gets added to the property. It's the gazetteer code essentially.
Right. Okay.
So it gets imported in with the COU files.
Right.
So if we do property classifications, and let's just find CE01 on that list. So if you just tap the sort by that. So CE01, there we are. So it's, you've only got the one building. I would you see the little habitable tick box in the middle?
Yeah.
Can you tick that? Will it let you do that? Will it let you right click? Change category habitability, mark as inhabitable. It's very confusing.
Lovely. Yeah.
Okay, so that one should also disappear now as well. So if we go back into, I know there's loads of back and forth, into addressing and then property canvassability.
Take off them. Yeah.
Yes, please. Yeah. Good. So that one's gone now. So we've just got the ones in there. They're already empty. They just need to be resolved. So looking at them individually, deciding whether you want to keep them or drop them.
Yeah.
If you are dropping them, you do have the option of deleting instead of just marking it do not canvas. So if we can now tick the top right box, show properties with an uninhabitable state, and then untick the one on the left that we've just done. So these are properties that are in here because the individual property has been marked with a state that suggests that no one can live there.
Right.
If you look at the BLPU description, these are all, residential normal properties. So there's nothing wrong with that. They're just a normal residential dwelling. So what we need to decide here is, do we need to go through and review these? I mean, by default, they'll be included in the canvas. But if they're demolished, why have we got people living there? If they're under construction, they're obviously not because they must be completed.
Yeah. So I know these. Say for example, this one, Neptune Road. Well, that's a new housing estate. We've got like quite a big new development going on. So I mean, they might have been uninhabitable like last year.
Yeah, but now are very much habitable.
Yeah, and obviously because people are registered there, aren't they? So
yeah. So with those ones, so if we take Neptune Road as our example, which is there. If you right click in there, let me just remind myself what the options are. So, I kind of wish. Oh, there is a set property type. Set property type. So that would let you choose individually what you want to convert them to. I'm looking for something. Oh, can we just try mark as habitable? Maybe it's that one. Let's see if that one's gone. Yeah, so that's the option. So you need to go through, that will convert the property state from under construction to just habitable, which is the normal state. So you can do that en masse. I mean, if there's people living in them, the under construction ones, I would say that probably means it's been completed on now and people have moved in.
And if I'm just going to do that because that's definitely like those addresses. Like that one says demolished.
The demolished ones are a little. So if you tap the property state.
So ignore the demolished.
Ignore the demolished, and then
maybe we'll have to just double check with council tax.
Yeah, because even the ones that, so if you look at those under construction one, that one's planning permission. But if you look at that under construction one, so 13 Ford Penta.
Yeah.
I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that. Sorry. The ones that are empty, if there's people living in some of them, there's probably people living in most of them. And even if no one's moved in yet, you still want there to be a canvas form on the doorstep when they move in.
Yeah.
So those ones I'd probably bring online as well. So even the ones where there's nobody in there at the moment, there probably is somebody living there, or there's a good chance.
Yeah, should we just put all them back in then? Because
I would do.
Yeah.
This is literally like the estate down the road from the office. So
it sounds like people are moving in, but I mean it's oh my god, it is a big bit.
It's huge.
How did that get through planning? But that was a saga. I remember I used to take minutes at planning meetings and it was the most boring thing in the world. People arguing about trees.
I wonder if we can contact the company, the building company, the developer. Find out which areas or which streets are now finished.
Yeah, maybe, because that's quite a few properties we're grabbing there. That's like nearly 1,000.
I'd rather just write out to them, and then if we get them back, isn't it? We get a load back, and we got a load back, didn't we, last year? Which were.
I mean, relative to the whole canvas, this is not a large number of properties.
No.
That's fair enough.
Let's just check them back in, is there?
Yeah.
Yep.
So is it marked as habitable?
It's marked as habitable, yeah. And then all you'll be left with, this might take quite a while to run through because it does them individually. I don't think it's a server process. So that will just leave us with the demolished and the uninhabitable, which those ones you maybe do need to review, because if they've been marked as demolished, it's usually because it's I mean, it might have come in through a COU file.
But we just need to double check them, isn't that really?
Yeah, if it had come in through a COU file, though, they would be in that tab. Because see up at the top, we've got 4 tabs. There's one that says properties marked for deletion. They'd be in there. They'd be in there if there was a if it had come through a COU file. So it's probably one that somebody's marked as demolished or a canvasser has done. In which case, you're just going to need to check over all those individually.
So after we say for example, we uploaded our data next week, are we still okay to work on this, or is it going to be too late then?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, I mean, I don't know how well widespread this knowledge is. When you do the national data match, absolutely every single electoral record in your database is uploaded, regardless of any sort of statuses or channels. So, although the route 3s aren't subject to the matching exercise, they all go up. Every single thing goes up because it's that was part of the original kind of request. So, it makes no odds for the upload. It's every single elector is going up for the verification. So, yep, you can continue to do this even after you've done the national data match.
Right.
Best to get it done before you launch the canvas and finish those 4-step processes off. Just because otherwise you'll have stats won't really make sense because things will drop out midway through.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, those demolished ones, uninhabitable ones, probably worth a review. Although you could argue if there's people in them, again, is there any other columns we can use in here? Let's have a can you right click on any of the column headers and click on show column chooser? That'll pop up in another screen. Is there any columns not in use? It looks like everything's ticked. What a shame. What would have been quite useful in there is like a last registration date.
Yeah.
So you could then, but I mean, if you double click on, can we double click in here? What information can we see if we double click? It's not really useful. I don't care about that. That's just the property level data. If you right click, is there a view? Oh, that's annoying. Show property details, maybe? Same again. Okay, that's annoying. Because it would be nice to see a date last registered, because then you could see when those 5 people were added. Because if they were added like pre-IER and they've just rolled through, then maybe it has been demolished.
Yeah. We better check them, because I mean, we don't want those 5 people, complaining again, do we? That it was demolished last year and now it's back on the list, sort of thing. So I think it's best we just go through them. Yeah,
just review. There's not too many. I mean, we've brought the list in total down from 1,500 to 77. So
there's
not too many to go. You haven't got anything currently in Do Not Canvas, which is fine because we've not marked any as Do Not Canvas, unless it's just not loaded there. So if you click that column header, sometimes with the tabs it doesn't count them until you've done them. So that's good. If you've got no properties on there that do not canvas, you might do by the end if you decide to do not canvas any of the ones that you've seen in uncanvassable properties. If you've got any personal safety kind of register, so we used to have a list of what are they called? Potentially violent
people.
person.
Yeah.
So they have basically the houses that I wouldn't send somebody out to, a visiting officer out to.
Yeah.
So those would normally be in there as well if you had any of those in the system. But maybe everyone's happy and normal in Vale. It's just Yorkshire that's
we're all right. We're not rough here.
Full of wrongers. But yeah, cool. Okay, so that's happy with that. That's all of our property level work done. Okay. We also need to review our single responsible person properties. So if you go into addressing and then establishments and rentals,
this is where I keep most of my my route 3.
Right. Okay.
So care homes and
yes, this is where they should be listed off. So if we scroll down in here, so basically what we're looking for in here is the ones that are listed as private landlord, leaseholder, etc. Useful information to have on file, but is not going to impact the canvas allocation. So these properties will be unaffected by this. They'll go to route 1 or 2, depending on the property level aggregation. The ones we're concerned about are the ones that have the third party type in there is set to single responsible person. So if you just press the little martini glass on the third party, it's meant to be a coffee filter, but I think it looks more like a martini glass. And if we just select single responsible person, so these are the ones that are going to route 3. Yeah. So these are individual records. Yeah, that's what most people do, set them up individually.
Yeah, so I look after those.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And you did that the other day, didn't you, Lynn? Did you go through them? Did you go through them the other day?
I went through this list on this particular tab the other day. Yeah. So they seem to be. I think they're all up to date as far as I'm aware, unless any of them have left or.
Is that college with the 400 people on here somewhere?
Yeah, that's Atlantic College.
Fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fab. Done then. So no issues there. Those ones will all be sent to the Route 3 allocation.
Yeah.
Regardless of matching score.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. So we're happy with those.
Mm-hmm.
So we can now actually go into the annual Canvas preparation screen and get the initial snapshot taken at least. That's as far as we can go until we've done the national data match. So if you go into annual Canvas and then annual Canvas preparation.
Yesterday, because I was on the training that you did yesterday, you mentioned the regional settings in that red box and putting a tick in the box or removing the tick.
Yeah, we can do that as well. Yeah.
Do I need to do that before I do this? Or?
It doesn't have to be done before. I normally do it just before I do the first upload, but if you do it now, then you can't forget, can you? So if we do it together, then it's done, isn't it? I hate that Teams thing. It's so annoying.
How can I get rid of it?
If you pin and then unpin and then move your mouse away, it sometimes goes away. But you've got to give it a sec. It's really annoying. It's not.
Oh, there we go. So it was in system, wasn't it?
And then regional settings. And then if we go to Canvas extract data.
So this is deleting all of last year's, is it?
Exactly, yeah. So basically, whenever you upload it, it hosts it on the service. And then when you're done with it, you just tick that box and press clear, and it just wipes out everything that's on register securely. Right, you might have already done it, but if you press clear, it'll tell you one way or the other. If you've already done it, it'll pop up with a message. Probably not a very clear message. That might have popped up on another screen. Oh no, it just takes a while. So yeah, it just gets rid. I keep thinking that I should add that. I thought it was in the Canvas kind of close down processes, but maybe it's not.
Oh, it could have been. I don't know.
Well, actually, having said that, people do like to hang on to things for a bit longer. So maybe it's just people not wanting to get rid of anything until they're
just in case, isn't it?
Yeah. Are you going to be upgraded to version 14.2 by the time you do the upload?
Yeah, is that ready now then to be?
Yeah, I think the email went out.
I can't say I've received that.
I haven't received an email.
We're on 14.1.2 at the moment, but it's going up to 14.2, is it?
14.2, yeah, that's the next main release.
That then. Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Yeah, just double check. I mean, it might have just been the internal one because we release internally and then do that external afterwards.
Because I know there was an email, wasn't there, from Simon saying that they were delaying it for a bit. But...
Yeah, it was originally meant to be last week and got bumped to this week. But I thought I'd seen the email this morning. But maybe I'm going crackers.
I don't know. We'll have a look. Yeah, but yeah, if this
it'll come from. Who will it come from? Simon, maybe.
Yeah.
He's temporary product owner, so can't remember who sent it. I just deleted it. I don't. I've got to be very Spartan with my inbox, so I just drown in it and I can't find anything. Okay. The Electra Reg it took a while to connect to the service, and clearing the records caused them to be deleted immediately and permanently. If you want to proceed, yes, you are. We should also, let me write this down. We should also check the encryption key.
Oh yeah, that was mentioned yesterday, wasn't it, as well?
While we're in here, and we should probably check the national data download for when they're finished.
So is that it now? Is it? That's
yeah, done. Yeah, it's not. It doesn't take long. It's basically, it sends a request to the server, and then the rest is done server side, so you don't see much. Okay, so if we go to back to system settings in the screen, and then go to services at the bottom. Yeah, and that'll open up in a minute. Yep, there we are. And then if you right click in there and go to manage your register securely encryption keys. So one down. Yeah. And okay, so Gareth did the key. It's currently set to inactive. Could you just try right clicking on that key and just select set key as active? Yeah. Good. Okay, cool. Wonder why it deactivated it, so maybe it gets deactivated if it doesn't get used for a certain amount of time. So basically that encryption key is it's how Electra is going to unscramble the data sent from register securely. So when we're transmitting data between Electra and the register securely server, we scramble it so that if anyone intercepted it, they couldn't read it. So only Electorate can open it with this encryption key.
Okay.
So that's just a bit of background.
All right.
Okay, cool. That's done. And can we go to so close that one down now. Can we go to system and then Electorate server? One from the bottom. Yeah. Okay, and if you scroll down in that long list, we're looking for national data matching results download. Yep, so click that. That's currently set to disable that process. If you tick that enabled tick box, I wouldn't have it go every 60 minutes. I'd have it go every. Can you change minutes to so every six? It's repeat process every. Yeah, 24 hours. Yeah. Yeah, that'll do it. Save that. Cool. Okay. So basically, if you happen to be online when that process runs, a little message, a warning message will come up saying that you see there in the monitor at the bottom, things like that. So it says no entities will progress. You'll get a little message pop up that you'll have to close, but excuse me, it'll only be once in a 24-hour sort of cycle. Okay. But if you do see it, just ignore it. It just means that there's nothing ready to be downloaded at the moment, which is true. Okay. Okay, so done that. We've done that. Done that. That. Got my checklist. I think that's basically everything. So we can also, I mean, we could do the first snapshot as well, get that out of the way. Mm-hmm. So if you go into annual canvas and then annual canvas preparation, it will default to 2020, which is very unhelpful because it takes ages to load the data. Who's pinging me on?
Oh, it does take its time, doesn't it?
Yeah. It repeats the calculation every time you go in, which is pointless because it's based on static data. So there we are. So you click on 2021. So we can see that's our initial count. So we don't have any do not canvas properties or electors. Our initial count of properties is 62,317. Properties available for data matching currently is set to 62,189. Obviously, there's those properties that we still need to look at for the dodgy ones that we still got in there. So if you just click on begin data matching, all these stats you can still see in the next screen, but if you click begin data matching now, you can get that initial snapshot done, and then it's one less thing to worry about on the day you're doing the upload. So you press yes to that. This might take a while. Yes, I mean, that's basically as far as we can go with the electorate side of things. We can do the local data matching in Insight. Mm-hmm. So we could start looking at that, but that's as far as we can go with electorate, to be honest.
Right, okay. So like when it comes to next week then, how do I go about doing that, uploading the data?
So basically you just click on that. There's a button that says, here we are. So when it's finished loading. Yeah. So if you when it comes time, if you click on that upload to DWP, you can actually do that now if you like. You can click that bit as long as we don't press next. So you'll choose in here whether to do all of them, just the first X number of them.
Yeah.
Once if you're on version 14.2, oh, what's that say? I don't know what that one is. Is that because it's not time yet? System.invalidate. System. Hang on. Let me go into the help site, see if anyone's reported that. So it's system.invalid cast exception. So it's popped up before. Here we are, canvas upload error. And the resolution was... That's interesting. So where we've had that issue in the past, it was due to the ERTP individual EROQ URL 12, whatever the hell that means. Let's see what happened. So someone reported that before. ERTP server type was live. Allow internet access is done. Oh God, I hate the help sites. Oh, well, I hate the client care site that we have to use, Zendesk. It's so annoying.
It's so not helpful.
Yeah, it's just really hard because it basically spools out all the tickets and displays them really weird. So like they don't come in looking like emails; they come in looking like garbage. Okay. Close that error message for me. Just press OK on that. Oh, duh. That's the error message that's broken in the current release. Sorry. Yeah, my brain's fried. In 14.2, that message doesn't pop up. Can you see in the bottom right corner?
You said this yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, I forgot again.
Sorry. Yeah.
I forget
it's something about the 50,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, I just can't stick it in my brain for some reason. So you see in the bottom right corner, there isn't a button to actually press to upload.
Yeah.
Because there isn't in 14, but if you click on just so if you're upgraded to version 14.2, you'll be able to select all and then upload.
Yeah.
But that's the message that will stop you otherwise.
So what would you advise though? Would you say to, obviously if we do it, well, we will upgrade, I'll get that done now over the next couple of days. Should we just upload the 103,000 in one go, or would you recommend we just do it in?
I would say, just if it was me, I would do just the first 1,000.
Yeah.
And then after I've confirmed that's gone up, because if you press cancel now, after you've done that first 1,000, you'll see it in that table. So you'll see 1,000 total electors have gone up. Gone to the DWP. Right. And then I would go in and do the rest.
Right.
It's a very stable upload process because it's slower than we'd have wanted it to be, because the Cabinet Office wanted it to send them up in bundles of like 250 electors. So it sends 250, they receive it, they send the acknowledgement back to us, we receive the acknowledgement and then send the next 250. So it's a very sort of stable upload process. So yeah, you should be fine with the 103,000.
So if I do the first 1,000, check they've been uploaded here, then go back in and then do the rest of them.
Do the remainder, yeah, exactly.
Right. So those 1,000 then will obviously disappear, won't they, from that list of electors, yeah?
So the 1,000 you'll see in the CC where it says sent to DWP, you'll see 1,000 in the total electors column
but
there.
they'll be gone from.
Oh yes, yeah. So I beg your pardon. Yeah, they'll disappear from the list. Yeah, you can only send them once.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. So is that all I need to do next Thursday then?
Yeah, basically. Can you see just the point of interest? Can you see down there at the bottom in the step 4 how you've already got some properties allocated to Route 1?
Yeah.
That's completely normal. So if you see that, basically, if there's somebody that was, if it's a property that only contains people added within the last 90 days, then it will automatically set it to matched. So you see that? So we elect data matching. So that's normal. Just in case you're worried about that later on.
What about this 14, 15-year-old? We need to
that's only ever going to make your match rate worse.
Right.
So basically, once you've done the national, you can play around with it. You can tick it and untick it as much as you like. But basically, that just means that by default, anyone that's 14 and 15 is ignored for the property level aggregation. So if you've got a couple in a property, both over the both adults, and they were green, they're 15-year-old who will be red, definitely will be red, because they're not a DWP. They're not sort of on as a normal person.
Yeah.
If you tick that box, that red unmatched 15-year-old will mean that the entire property goes down Route 2.
Oh, right. We don't want that to happen.
Yeah. So that's new for you, but Scotland had it last year, and all the Scottish users reported that it just meant they had more in Route 2.
Yeah. No, that's fine. We'll keep it unticked then, isn't it?
I would. Yeah, I mean anything that's in the legislation to make it slightly easier, I just grab it and run with it because they'll probably get rid of it. So.
Yeah. No, that's okay. That's
may as well enjoy it while you can.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's everything. So that's your upload that you'll be doing on the 23rd.
Yeah.
Did you want to look at that local data matching now?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you want to open up Insight for me?
Yeah. Okay. Can you see that?
Yep. Cool. Okay. So the file that we've who's ringing me? The file that we've got. What's the best way of putting this? Let's see if we still got data in here from last time. So if you just go into Match and Analyze, and then View Master Records, and then press Search. Yes, we do. Okay, so these are all of the master records from the last cycle that we did.
Right.
I mean, we may as well leave them in. It's not going to cause any harm if we leave them in. If anything, it's just going to mean that we've got, a bit more data. When it comes to the local data matching phase, as in just go back into Electra just for a second, just so I can show you the bit I'm talking about. So when you get onto step 2, when you're adding in your local data sources, so if you press Add now, just have a look at it. And just full screen that thing. So when you add in a local data source, so if you're in that list, that's everything that's come into Insight. So if you click on one of those data sources, so the one that you used last time, because it was this Gareth that did this last time.
Yeah.
If you select, probably data match council tax sounds like it's probably the one. Okay, so yeah, so you see there, so it's on the 29th of April, he imported in 50,812 elector records. You can see that by default, even though we've selected data match council tax, we've got 0 matched electors and 0 matched properties, because if there's you see that date field there, what we're saying there is I only consider the data relevant from this date onwards. If it was received prior to this, I can't use that to justify making somebody a match. Yeah. So if you when we've imported the next set of data in, that will be captured because you'll just change the date to put it back by a week or so to capture those records and include them in the matching. So the existing records that Gareth's imported in last year might be useful for data matching, but will not be included for the aggregate property score.
Right. Okay.
So they'll be ignored for that. So we may as well leave whatever was in there to begin with. So you just hit cancel on there. And if we go back into Insight. So are we hoping that the data that's been supplied by council tax is going to be the same format as it was when Gareth slotted it in.
I would have thought so. I don't know that it's changed, but...
Okay, fantastic. It looks like he got about 50,000 electors from it, which probably suggests that there's only one liable party per property, which is fairly normal for council tax, but 50,000 is better than 0.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. With this, it's just a process of getting as many as you possibly can. Okay, can we have a quick look at the file? So if you can just take me to the file and let's have a quick look.
Where is it now? Oh, I can't remember where to save.
Is it under Canvas Reform 2020?
No. What the council tax files now?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Yeah.
Hang on, let me open my chat things on here.
Yep, no worries.
It was in there. Just talking about the football. There you go, Hammercop Academy extract.
Is Academy the council tax software?
Yeah. Where is it then? Oh God, am I being dull?
Hammercop.
Yes.
The Hammercop. Oh, all right, hang on.
You're on Hammercop, am I?
No, but there's no file for Hammercop.
What is a Hammercop?
It's just what their server's called.
Apparently, it's a species of bird.
Oh, is that?
They live in Africa, so I don't know why they think it's like a native bird species.
I'm being really dull because I opened it the other day and looked at it.
You haven't put it on the desktop.
No. I know, I don't know. So where do I have to go? Cancel. Right, cancel that. Yeah. In here? Yeah. Oh, like that. Oh, do you know what? I'm just getting old. Oh, so here we go, the 14th of June. Okay.
So, 14th of June. Okay, cool. Can we? So the one that we're going to import in first. Let's do the occupied ones first because they're easier. Well, they're not easier. They're actually harder. But let's get them out of the way. Can you copy that? Just make a copy of it and save it to your desktop, just so we can have a look inside and just work out where we're at with it. So we just go into data, just put it onto your desktop or something.
Yeah. Do you want me to open it?
Yes, please. Yeah, the desktop version. Just because you CSVs are dead funny when you try and open them. Let's have a look. Haha. Oh, I recognise that first name. So it's the same people again, which is good. So lead. Oh, it looks like they've done a little bit of manipulation then. That's good. We don't have. Oh, we do have UPR. Oh, this is perfect. Who's this? Academy. They're my new favourites. Because the ones we get from Northgate are shocking. Okay, it's cool. So this is just a point of reference for future. This is an ideal file. It includes the UPRN, which is enormously useful. It includes the electors' names separated into 2 separate fields, which is incredibly useful. The full names never work as well. And it's also not got any empty properties in it. So this is a gold standard of data.
You know, Becky probably set this up before she left.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I don't know if it was a special request put in.
It probably was.
For Academy, there is a duplicate in there, so you can see Teresa Joan Pounds in there twice. That's fine. Those duplicates are eliminated automatically when we import them in. So you see how Teresa Pounds in there twice.
Yeah.
So we can eliminate those very easily. Insight will get rid of them automatically. It doesn't. It's allergic to duplicates. Okay, cool. So I think we're good to go then. That's very good. So if we close that down. and then go back into Insight. And if we go to import and then import local data and select from the list, I think it was the data match council tax. Yeah, and then next. And then if you right click in there and do add file, and that'll pop up, and we can see that's the import layout used most recently. So it seems it's been in place for a while then. In fact, if this works, then it probably is one of, because that would have been Becky, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Did Becky move to council tax?
She did, but then she's moved on now. She's in Cardiff Council doing manager's role in Cardiff. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. So if you go into, please select the import file. So you just press the little ellipsis button to the right of that. And then we just navigate to that file.
Can I paste it in there again?
Maybe. I don't know. I think if you press the so on the address bar, if you press the, yeah, you should be able to type it in there. Copy and paste it in.
Oh, why am I being done? Copy address.
Yeah. And then if you paste the address in there, so if you, I think you have to click into the little downward arrow, yeah, and then paste. Try Control V. Let's do it twice. Just, yeah, Control V once should do it. Oh, that's thrice. Just delete the whole line. And then do Control V. That's the one. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that should be it.
Yeah,
just press return. Oh, that's annoying. It's added in loads of weird stuff for no reason. Try going back into the Hammerkopf. I keep trying to add an F because it sounds German. Go back into your Windows Explorer, your My Documents you've got open. For Academy Extracts. No, sorry, at the bottom. Academy Extracts folder. So the folder you've already got open, not this is Windows, this is Insight still. But if you go back in the Windows File Explorer at the bottom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and then just click on the address bar again. But try copy address as text. Maybe that's the one we need. And then go back into Insight.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then in there, and then just press the downward arrow again. Yeah, and then Control V. That looks slightly better. Yeah, okay, cool. Right, so we need that occupied one. Yeah, and then open. And then next, definitely had file headers. So is that still the case? UPRN to UPRN, postcode 112233, surname, forename. Okay. Yes, this is suspiciously easy. Press next. Sorry, press not next. Press back. Press finish. And then next. And yeah, we do have some duplicates which we knew about. So you see at the top, even with everything selected, there's 439 duplicate records. That's fine. We don't want them, so we'll not include them. So just next again. Yep. So basically, what that process does is eliminate those Teresa pounds that were in there, so the ones that had multiple copies. So this looks perfect. Yep, happy with that. Next again. It's now going to perform the data matching. This might take a while.
So would you do that process for the 4 different files then? So these were the occupied. You do the same for the unoccupied and the
the unoccupied is similar. It's a bit fiddlier as a process. So if you just press next now, that was really fast. But then it wasn't too many, and it's a CSV and it's an easy data format. This bit, let's see how long this takes. Okay, cool. So these are mostly no changes. So you can see how in the match type column, I do not know why it bothers showing you this information. You can't do anything about it, but I guess it may be useful to give you an idea of the status of the import. But you see the ones that say no change, those are the ones that are now considered for the purposes of the canvas. That's it for the match. For the ones where there's no match, those are the ones that are a bit mysterious and maybe need some work doing on them. So if you just press finish in there.
These all go down route 1.
Not quite yet, but you were nearly there. So just press yes in there. In fact, will they go down Route 1? Yes, they will. Sorry, yeah, no, that's done because we've already got the master record. So yeah, those ones will go through Route 1. The ones that we need to look at now is if you go into import and then potential new master records. Let's have a look how many it brings in. 7,571. So these are the ones where it's not been able to find anything. And some of these make sense because there's no name on them. So some of them, obviously, it's not going to be able to find anyone. But some of them, like, for example, Leanne Carter, potentially just a new elector that we didn't know about. So if you, let's grab the first, maybe 6 records in there. The ones that are actual people. The blank ones we can ignore because now we can do with them. Yeah, and then right click. And then select attempt to match selected records to master records based on data source record rules. It's extremely wordy. Yes. So that will open up a new window. Just full screen that one. It's quite a big one. So these ones can't be matched. Let's have a look why. So Leanne Carter's the first one. She was matched to a property, so there's nothing wrong with the property description. If you expand you can see on the far left, there's a little plus, yeah. So, that's why. So we do have a master record, but it's just recorded as L Carter rather than Leanne Carter. So that means in the first council tax file that we got last time, she was just down there as L Carter, which is a bit annoying. Let's have a look at the one underneath, Taylor Bond. Nope, so Taylor Bond's brand new. One underneath, Richard Pike. Lucy McAllister, Richard Pike is brand new. Lucy Pike's probably gone. Lucy McAllister's probably moved out of the house. So can you see what it's doing? So it's first establishing the property match, and then it's looking at the electors. So for some of them, like Leanne Carter, they do already exist. For some of them, like Taylor Bond, there's nobody there already at the house. Yeah, so that's a brand new person.
So Taylor Bond has gone and Michael Glass has moved on.
Michael Glass has gone. Taylor Bond is new.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So with those ones, although you don't need to, in terms of for the purposes of Canvas, that process is complete now. You've obtained 40,000 matches that are going to boost your results. But if you wanted to take it to the sort of next level with data matching, that's where this next sort of step of processing would be. Now, if you were doing these files from council tax on a monthly basis, there would be less of these every time. But because it's been a full year since the last time since these master records were created, they're a little bit out of date, which is why there's 7,000 to work through. Now, it's up to you if you consider that to be a worthwhile exercise for the team to go through and try and establish those matches.
We should be doing it on a monthly basis.
Yeah, if you do it monthly, you won't get anywhere near as many because there's not as much churn. But if you think about how much your database has changed in a year, it's the same with council tax. So they'll have significant churns as well. So if we just close that down, so Leanne Carter we know is matched to an existing person. So just close that one down. Yeah, it's cancel in there. And if you right click on Leanne Carter, I think you do have the ability to manually match to a master record. So if you click that, and if you just type in L Carter into there. Oh my God. They're drilling next door again. Sorry. Can you hear that?
Sorry.
How loud is it? Is it very loud?
No, can you?
Oh, okay. Good. Then it's just me that'll be deafened during the user group. So it's definitely the top one. So we double click on that, and that will reconcile those two records together. There's data match. The master record is already matched to a different data record within the data source. The master record will be matched to one data record in each data source. Oh, that's annoying. Master record can only match to one data record in each data source. Yeah, we're trying to change. Oh, okay, so we can't match it in again. That's annoying. So I guess with L Carter, there's not much we can do now. That's just, it's just fine. Basically, it just means that it should have been a match, but wasn't because she was in originally as L Carter. So we won't worry too much about L Carter. So we'll leave that one where it is. But Taylor Bond, we know is a new person. So if you right click on Taylor and select Create Master Records, that will add Taylor into there. So press yes to that. Now, So Taylor will disappear. If you go into import and then view, potential master record deletions, let's see what we've got in here. I would expect to see the person that did live in her house in here. So you can see L. Carter's flagged up there as a potential removal. So we could choose to remove the L. Carter and add the Leanne Carter in as an option as well. So you accept that as a deletion, but hang on, no, is that worth doing? That's probably not worth doing. What's the best way of doing this? I mean, we really just need to reconcile those two. Just press no on that. We just need to kind of attach those to each other. I wonder if it's worth. I mean, there's not. It looks like there's only that one that's got the phoneme that's just a letter.
So in council tax, that would mean usually that anyone with just their initial and their surname, they're the landlord.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. That's good to
know. So here there's another A. Harris. So this is the data which has come through from council tax, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, so that's why it's got initials, I think, that these people don't actually live at the property.
So these are all people that came through on the file last year that are no longer on the file. For some of them, like P. Malson, it's because they're now called like Peter Malson or Patricia Malson, whatever their real name is. But for some of them, it's because they're just no longer listed at the address.
Is it just worth going into electorates and just having a look at like 83 Broad Street?
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes it's just easier to understand, isn't it, what's going on?
I had forgotten about that, the landlord.
Oh, so he's not even there. So
not listed at the address.
Unless, is it, obviously, if it was vacant last year, it would have the landlord's details on for Academy. Because that's the...
Yeah, so why are these people not there? Oh, unless they pay, is it like they pay all bills in?
They're renting.
Yeah, they're renting it with all bills included, so they're not council tax liable. So
if there's nobody renting it, then it would have the landlord's details on.
Well, would it also have the landlord's? Because I'm not on council tax because it's included in my rent.
Yeah, it could be that.
So if the landlord's the liable party, if he's just charging them, or if he or she's just charging them a flat rate with all bills included.
True. Yeah.
It could also be that. So the ones where it's just the initial, we maybe can't get any value out of those. We just ignore those ones.
Yeah.
But if we grab a handful of them, what are the right click options in here? Just remind me. If you just right click on Brian? So only accept and reject. So basically, it's saying that the files come through and Brian Castle is no longer on there. Is what it's trying to get at.
Right.
So at that address, he's no longer sort of listed. If you click accept selected deletions, it will mark him for deletion, not as an elector yet. And then if you go into match and analyze, and then if you first of all go into potential new electors. So these are the ones that we've already looked at. That so you see Taylor Bond at the bottom. That's the one. So some of those are still there from last year. But Taylor Bond is one that we've just done there. So by adding them as a master record, it is populating this screen because it's now saying, well, you've added this new master record to your list of master records. I've checked it doesn't exist in electorate yet. Therefore, this person must be a new person to add to an address.
Right.
If you right click on Taylor, so that's why it's best to do things in kind of chunks. So you see in import and in match analyze, there's sort of parallel versions of each other. Right. So I prefer to do 10 in one, then 10 in the other, 10 in one, 10 in the other. It takes longer, but it's more of a manageable process. So if you select attempt to match selected records to elector records, so the second option down, let's just verify what's going on there. So you've always got to do this first to run this process through. And let's have a look, just at full screen there. So it's found the property fine. If you press the little plus button underneath it, we already have Taylor, but we've got Taylor, not Taylor.
Yeah.
So that's why that person's not been found. So we can choose to match the two together.
Yeah.
So if you close that down, That's why it's better to do it in small numbers, because you need to kind of look at each one individually. So just press no for that. Doesn't do anything. Right click in there, and then if you go to manually match to an elector, and if we look for Taylor bond, yeah. Yeah, double click Taylor, and that'll get rid of them. So now Taylor is a match. So you've got to weigh up what's the most sort of time, for those 7,000 odd records. Is it worth going through them to harvest those sort of new records and collect those matches? If they're genuinely new, so if you get to this bit and run the matching process and it doesn't find them, that's fantastic because you've gained a new elector. But even if you match it like we've just done there, that person now, it doesn't matter what their national data matching is. So their national data match could come back with a no. It doesn't matter because we've already matched them. Right. So local data always overrides national.
Okay, so where should we start now with the 7,000 then? Literally doing
So start by going to import and then potential new master records, and do maybe between 10 and 50 of them in here.
Yeah. So what about these ones with the? Should we get rid of those?
The blank ones, unfortunately, you can't get rid of. If you right click, is there an option to get rid of it? Delete selected records, because there's no one. This is no record there. We can't do anything with it, can we? Yeah. There's nobody there. We can't use that.
No. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you could maybe do them and do a handful of them at a time.
Right. Okay.
Oh, you could just do that. Yeah.
So I just. Is that
just make sure when you're doing that, it might be best actually. Can you see in the top where it says data source all? Just because there might, I'm just scared there'll be empty properties in there. Just click into, you see where it says data source all at the top left corner.
Yeah.
Just change that to data match council task. So this is the file that wasn't meant to have any empties in it. So those are the ones to get rid of. So if you grab everything from the top one, which was one that Gareth did, moral court, and then all the way down to the end of this empties. It's probably best to do them in chunks of 100 or something.
It takes forever, is it?
Yeah, it's quite slow.
So if we're deleting them, does that then take them down the route 2 route?
Well, there's nobody there. So if there's no information, then it'll just be they're at the mercy of the national data match there. Because if there's no data on there, there's nothing we can do with it. There's no name.
Right. Okay.
So it just means that I couldn't tell you what it means. I'm not a council tax solve.
That's okay.
Yeah. So once you've got rid of those void, let's call them voids. Once you got rid of those void records, which probably wouldn't take too long. I can't imagine there's that many in there. Then it's a case of going through the remaining records and sort of doing them in chunks of, start off with 5, build up as you go. But yeah, you've kind of got to process them kind of individually. You can make slight adjustments to the matching algorithm. So if you spot a pattern, if you spot a forename that's commonly being misspelt, you could consider, so maybe if there's a council tax operator that just enters a name spelling incorrectly or has, whatever it is. Holly and Holly is a good example. Y and I is, both equally accepted versions of the name. Holly Lemon, what a cute name.
Holly Lemon.
What's that, Holly Lemon? There's 2 Holly Lemons though. That's weird.
Same property.
Yeah, they're on different files. Both of them, well, yeah. I mean, once you've done one of the Holly Lemons, you can just match the other one to that one as well. So yeah, you might find that there's a mistake like that. So in which case you can slightly adjust the matching rules. So just work your way through them, see how it feels. If you think that a lot of them it should have matched that, or there's a way that if you find that a lot of them are not new people and they're just existing ones, then it's worth sort of getting in touch with me, and then we can review those rules and rerun the matching process on these properties to see if we can fish out a few more. But unfortunately, it's just a numbers game. If you leave it a year, it does leave you a lot of catching up. To do. The good news is you don't have to do them all. Yeah. It's just squeezing out of it whatever value you can. And your role is to kind of weigh up, is the time that I'm spending on doing this going to prove worthwhile? So that's why your stats are going to be really important, because you're going to have to remember, was the shift from route 2 to route 1 that I did with my local data matching, was it worth the time that we sank into it? Because a lot of people don't bother with this bit, Haley. So some people just will do the import, and then
just
if they get any matches they get, they'll siphon off. Anything that doesn't match, they ignore, because it's a numbers game. It's just whether or not.
I suppose really seven in that regard, then 7,000 is nothing, is it? Really, in the grand.
Yeah, not really. I mean, the majority of them, I think, will there'll be new master records, but they will not be new electors. Yeah. So they'll be exactly like the one we just did, in that it was a new master record because we've not looked at council tax data for a year. So they're a new master record, but when we compare those master records to electorate, there's no one there. That's the crucial bit to remember, is that you've got to compare it to electorate. So if we do another one, let's take another example just so we can go through it together. So if we take, let's go with Helen Edwards at the top. So right click on Helen and do attempt to match selected records. So let's have a look what Helen's situation is. Just press the plus. So Helen is a new master record. Susan Tebbett is potentially a master record that's due for deletion. So with Helen, it's fairly clear there. Susan Tebbett is unlikely to have changed her name to Helen Edwards. Mm-hmm. It's not impossible. It's just very unlikely.
Yeah.
But if you close that down, so we're happy with that. And if you right click on Helen Edwards and choose create master records, yep. And then yes again, she'll disappear from in here. Mm-hmm. And if you go into match and analyze, so you could have one person working through these and one person working through potential new electors and just refreshing it every couple of minutes. And then if you right click on Helen Edwards and do attempt to match. So she was a new master record. Let's see if she's a new elector, is what we're doing here, if that makes sense. If you find that out, no match at all, nothing. Oh gosh, okay, we can't even find the property.
19 new house.
19 new house court. Let's see if we can find that in electorate. So can you see where it says no match in match type? It means we can't find anything for that person.
And it's got a new PRN. So
yeah, let's just try 19 new house court and see what that comes up with. Yeah, she's there already, Susan Tebbett. Oh, but that's not the person, is it?
No, that's the old one.
That's the old one.
She's still green. So she's still.
We haven't had anything. Well, we got a letter. We sent a poll card to Susan Tebbett in March. We've not had anything come back from her before.
So she's moved out.
Yeah, quite likely. It's just that she didn't.
Don't know about it.
You. But you don't know for certain. So with her, I'd leave her on because you're about to send the canvas form out anyway. But Helen Edwards, why is Helen Edwards not matching? So it's the UPRN in here is 6400671, and in electorate it is. You'll have to go back to household, I think. 6406071. That's the same one.
Yeah, that's right.
6071. 19 new house court. Why hasn't it found the property on that one? Well, it might just be a blip, or it might be there's a hidden space somewhere in the UPRN. It's not the end of the world. For one of them, we can live with that. So we've checked the house. Helen Edwards is not on it. So if you close that down again, we can right-click on Helen Edwards, add selected electors to the database without using the new elector wizard. So that will add them to the system. Has no current UPRN.
Weird, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Because there's no UPRN at the property. Okay. Oh, okay. That makes sense. So right-click on Helen again, and do manually match to property. So we just have to do this bit first to tell it exactly what the address is.
Is that the postcode?
Or
is it 19 new house? Or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go. I can remember actually doing some of them last year. So right click now, add it to there without using, yeah?
Yeah.
And this is now just going to send, this will go into the ITR screen, is it?
Yeah, unless you've got an national insurance number and date of birth, it'll just go straight as ITR. And sometimes there's a server process that picks them up, so it's not always immediate. It runs every like hour or so to pick them up for an ITR. But yeah, ultimately that's where she's going. So that's the basic process. So the first person is looking only at master records. So the one who's working in the import screen is comparing it to the council tax data we got last year in their exercises. They're trying to work out if it's a new person or somebody that you already have the master record for. Mm. When they add a new master record, the second user who's working in this screen will then be comparing it to Electorate itself. That's going to be the fastest way of working through these, I reckon.
Okay. So these are the ones from...
Yeah, these are the ones last year. So these didn't get processed all the way through. I'm not really sure where these are because I don't like to leave things in here. Yeah. But so we can see there was... Yes, it's the data that came in last year, although you can see that one, Haley Dark, was in the most recent file as well. So probably just the same thing with these. So just right click and see what the electors are. So just do attempt to match. Haley Dark.
Two different spellings.
Yeah.
Well, no,
well,
actually,
and a
name. Essentially, a name.
Yeah. So that one's a bit harder to work out the storyline, isn't it? So it's either that Haley Dark got married and her name was misspelled on council tax, or something else. So Haley could have married Andrew, couldn't she? I don't know. It's hard to piece these storylines together and have to look on council tax, but the outcome is ultimately the same. You either choose to match it to an existing elector, or you add it as a new person.
Okay.
So if we look at Claudia again is on the most. So you see last import date?
Yeah.
Claudia's on that file. So if you right click and attempt to match again.
Oh, she's a green. New elector.
Yeah, and just press the plus underneath to see what's going on there. Oh, so she's a perfect match. So I don't know why she wasn't processed. If you just click accept batches at the bottom, I'll get rid of her. So she's an easy one. But yes, yeah. So I mean, you can do them in bulk as well. So if you grab Lucas, or if you grab all of those,
I'll leave Haley off of it because we know there's a
yeah, and then attempt to match, yeah. So we managed to, so Clifford and Fung are matched. So if you press accept matches, Clifford and Fung will disappear, and you'll just be left with the ones that you need to look at.
All right, yeah.
It just filters them off. It might be the case, actually, that when you tried to do this last year, Clifford and Fung weren't on council tax yet.
Where would have we got their data from, though?
They might not have been registered as electors at that point, but now they are.
They are, yeah.
So that might be what happened. So you tried to match them, couldn't find them, and then just left them. Whereas now they are registered for elections as well.
So can I just add these without using the new wizard then?
Because they're older records, I'd maybe want to just have a quick check at the house and make sure there's definitely no one there. So just grab all those records again. Yeah. And right click and do attempt to match. And just make sure you don't have to do this always, but for the first couple that you do, it's worth just double checking. Just expand the pluses and just make sure there's nobody. Yeah, nobody there. Nobody there. That property's empty, and Haley we know about. Yeah, so it looks like Lucas, Andrew, and Peter are new. That's right, Lucas. Who am I looking at? Lucas, Andrew, and Peter. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so those are new people, those three. But Haley looks like she could potentially be a duplicate or could be new. Hard to say. So if you close that down, if you right click on Lucas, Andrew, and
close this page down?
Yeah, close that page down.
Oh, Lucas, Andrew, and Peter.
Yeah, right click on them and add them in. So it's worth always just double checking the matching just to make sure that there's nobody there. What's wrong with these ones? Let's open that up.
Duplicate key and row.
It might be because these ones were, so there was an issue with Insight last year when it comes to adding these people in. I wonder if those records haven't been sort of retrospectively fixed. Those ones you just might have to manually insert onto Electorate, and then if you right click in here, is there you just reject them in here. So Matt's lecture records is rejected. Okay. But if you manually add them into Electorate first and then reject them.
And then come in here and delete them.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's the basic process. Just take it a few at a time until you're confident with what you're doing. But yeah, again, it's just weighing up whether or not that excuse me, that process is worth doing for those 7,000 and whether it's going to be enough to make a sort of significant swing. It should be, 7,000 is a lot, and it just depends on how fast you can get through them though.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So obviously we can just work on this now, over the next however long it takes, couple of weeks, and it's not going to affect anything come next Wednesday.
Nope, it won't affect anything. You just need to have it done for obviously for the 12th of July when you close down the matching.
And you do your data.
Yeah, because once you've allocated routes, you can't change them. They still haven't changed the legislation about that. Unfortunately, they didn't get a chance to do it. So.
Okay. What about the other the properties then? So we've done the occupied.
Yeah.
Do we?
So the unoccupied ones, I would import those in as a brand. We can probably do those now actually because those are pretty easy. If you go to import again, and then import local data, and then if we go with, I wonder which one I used. What do you reckon? See, data match. None of those are jumping out at me.
Because we just done data match council tax.
Yeah, so it can't be that one. I don't know which one he used.
Maybe he didn't.
If he didn't do it, maybe not. Okay, that's weird. Go with add new channel. And then we'll call that CTAX empties or whatever you want to call it.
Should I call it unoccupied because that's what the file is called? Oh.
Yep.
Yeah. Does this need to be ticked?
Yes, it does, definitely. And then next in there, and then right click add file. We'll have to create a new council tax layout, so just click the unoccupied file. So you'll need to see where it says create new CT unoccupied file layout, the field below.
Yeah.
So you need to give it a name for the file layout. So it's usually just the same thing. You just call the channel. Just type it in again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then next. And then next again. And that's already weird. Why is that? Looks like a name. Yeah. Are these definitely unoccupied?
Shall I copy it and see?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I press unoccupied?
Yeah, you definitely did. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, so these are them.
Right. I mean, presumably these are landlords. Do you want to double check that though?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, usually if they're landlords, they haven't got their full name on them.
Yeah.
They're like the initial. So.
I've noticed that there's a discount type and discount granted column.
Yeah.
So is that them getting the empty property discount? Are they holiday homes?
Yeah, could be either, couldn't it? I suppose.
Yeah. Do you want to double check with council tax?
Yeah.
But basically, if we go back into Insight, we'll stop short of actually importing in the file. But what you're doing here is mapping it up. Now, if you tick on use this column and click into the drop down, those are the fields we can accept. We're not expecting forename for this one because it's empties. So the forename and surname you will not be mapping because there shouldn't be people in there. So ignore those. So if you untick see where it says use this column, just untick that one in there at the top.
And use this column. Or use this column. Untick.
Yeah, untick that, yeah.
Yeah.
And then press next. And then so basically you're going to go through each of these fields. So next. again. This one we do want to use, yeah? So you tick the box when it's something that we can use. For empty properties, we definitely don't want any names coming through because that'll really freak out Insight. It'll probably throw an error message.
So
but
address line 1?
Address line 1, yeah. But before we go all the way through it and kind of finalize the process off, if you want to check with council tax, that's definitely the right file.
Okay.
It's probably holiday homes. I imagine there's quite a lot of holiday homes. Do you have a lot? Because Glennis has loads.
Holiday homes. I don't know.
Caravans, maybe.
Hang on.
Water's Edge.
Do you know what? Like, for example, that one there, Bromfield Road. I know that is vacant, like empty, because I know the person in number 1.
Yeah.
Water's Edge is over the lake.
Yeah.
Heffernan again. I know. Yeah, I think these are like receiving a discount because of whatever reason, not necessarily unoccupied, as in empty.
So
right. Yeah. Well, do you want to double check and come back to me?
Yeah, I mean we can. That's fine as long as once we've got that cleared with council tax. As long as
I mean basically the import process is dead easy for us. Once you've mapped up the file, you go all the way through and that's it. That's done. You don't have to do any matching with people. You don't have to do any faffing around with master records. It just does it.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
So see how you get on. If you get stuck, give me a shout and we'll pop back. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So like next Wednesday now, I'm going to do that upload. So that's all done. Usually, I think the results are coming back like the following day, aren't they?
Oh, they're really fast this year.
Yeah, really quick. So then obviously I need to send the data then, is it? This is it. I don't know. I haven't got a clue then what the next step is.
So once your data has arrived, if you go into annual canvas and then annual canvas preparation, you'll send the data off from step 1. So step 1 will upload the data. The Cabinet Office will email you when the file's ready to be downloaded. We've set it up so Electorate's going to fish for that on a regular basis. You should see in results received and matched by DWP. Can you see those ones?
Yeah.
So your results received will perfectly match those sent to DWP. That should be an exact relation, so things can't get lost. Matched by DWP is just going to be the initial results of the national data match.
Right.
So once those are done, then you'll be away with the other steps, which we can't really look at just yet. I mean, if you go into step 2, optional local data matching, and press add, and if we expand that and just select the in data source, just choose data match council tax. So you can see we've got 43,388 matches there.
Right.
Yeah. So you can press save now. You press save in there, and that could be a local data matching done. Anything you can get now is a bonus. Yeah. So any more that you add or match now will be included automatically within that. You don't need to do it again.
Right.
So if you see how the status is set to disabled, if you right click that and set it to enabled. So we can see now, rather than the initial number of properties that were matched, which was 1,450, we've now got 17,995 matched.
Right, okay.
Because the local data match always takes prominence over the national data match. So already that's 17,000 less for Route 2s that you've got.
So that'll just continue without us
that'll update. So if you just note the numbers now, which are 16103 for properties matched, as you carry on, you should see that number increase. It won't be as dramatic an increase, I wouldn't have thought, because it's unlikely to be every electorate in a property. It might be a significant increase. It might be 7,000. I don't think it'd be quite that many.
Yeah.
But you should see as you go on that will increase.
Right.
Automatically, you don't need to load it in again. So that's done now.
Will that happen on like a separate line? So I'll have.
No, it will be a separate line. It's because it's going by the import date.
Right. Okay.
So as long as you carry on doing them, it'll automatically include them. Any that you match from this date onwards.
Okay.
You will need to add the empty properties in. That would be a second row because that's a separate data type.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So say, for example, like we got data from, say, blue badge holders.
Yep.
As long as like the headers on that were the same as on Insight.
Well, with that, that should really go in as a separate new import type because it's from a different kind of provider of data.
Yeah.
So rather than putting that through council tax and trying to force it into the same shape as the council tax file, just feed it in its own right, and then it will match itself to the master records because people will be on, you'll have people that are on council tax and on blue badge.
Yeah.
So it just basically will reconcile the two of them together.
Right. Okay. Right. I'm not saying I'm going to do that,
but yeah, if you wanted to, you could. Yeah.
What other like pieces of data matching are people using? Do you know?
Housing benefits really good because it's got national insurance numbers and dates of birth on it. If you've got a uni or a college, in your case actually, because 16-year-olds, if you can get education data, that's always really good because it's got national insurance numbers and dates of birth as well. But asking for it's a bit trickier because it's not in the immediate kind of remit of the returning officer. Anything held by the local authority is automatically allowed. They have to supply that.
Yeah.
Anything held by other sort of public organisations involves harder discussions.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of authorities. So when I used to work for iDocs, Sheffield was one of our clients, and Sheffield's got about 4 unis. So they used to get education data every year from all the universities in Sheffield, which had national insurance numbers and dates of birth, and they just fed them straight in and sent them immediately for IRDS verification. Didn't even ask them to apply.
Oh, right.
So it probably not going to happen this year because what you would need to do is that the students would need to consent to having their data used for that purpose.
Yeah.
So existing data held by the schools would not be eligible.
Yeah.
But if you were to have this arrangement with the schools to add a little tick box at the bottom that says, I'm happy for you to register me as an elector, or I'm happy for you to use this data to register me as a voter, or whatever it is, then those ones you could use. But the data they currently hold wasn't authorized by the owner of the data for that purpose. So it takes a while to have those conversations. But housing benefit can be used for that because it's the local authority can do with that whatever they want. That's usually part of the agreement with that, and that's pretty good data usually. Sometimes, bus passes, if you can get hold of that, can be quite useful.
I don't know now with bus passes. I'm only saying this because Linda's like, but that's gone on to Transport for Wales now, haven't it?
Yeah. All I know is that my dad shows off about his all the time, which is very antagonistic. So yeah, I don't know. It depends. It's just whatever you can get your hands on, really. Yeah. Anything can go in. It's just some of it's better than others. But generally speaking, if it's something where they have to ask for a national insurance number and date of birth, that's going to be of a very good standard. But your council tax data is excellent anyway. It's very enviable.
All right. Okay.
Cool.
All right. Cheers for that. So yeah, that's really helpful. So next week I'll obviously do that upload.
Yeah.
If I get stuck,
give me a shout if you get stuck on anything. I'm training a new starter for client care next week. But that would be a useful sort of call for him to sit on as well. So I'm more than happy to help if you get stuck with anything. Just ping me.
Sorry, Paul. Before you disappear, sorry I was late. I was having to deal with something else. I just want to check, and it might have already been covered, and particularly at the beginning of this session. I've obviously, because Gareth's off at the moment, I've obviously confirmed Democracy Counts, the 23rd of June date. But the email that came out from support also asked for confirmation to the support at inbox the first data extract dates.
Don't worry too much about those. I've got it down now anyways, the 12th of July. That was more for us just to make sure that we didn't have because a few people were going earlier than they ever have done in the past, and that made us a little bit nervous that maybe everyone was doing it. So it was just us trying to
no worries. And the other question asked was any amendments which needed to be made to Canvas workflows.
Yeah,
that was the other.
Actually, Paul, I did notice that. So there are dates on some of our workflows.
Okay, cool. So if you just go into planning and reporting and then manage workflows, and if you click on load workflows, that'll open up a new window. Let's have a look. So some of those ship with Electra already. It's probably going to be the Route 2 VOG one that is the one that was custom made for you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just double click on that one, and let's scroll down. So that one doesn't have any dated nodes on it.
Okay.
Maybe
I was looking at the wrong workflow then that we don't actually use.
I don't know. If you just while we're in here, just double click on that one at the top that says non-responder. See that? Sorry, top right corner of the workflow itself.
This one?
Yeah, just double click that. We should probably set that to delay until a certain point. So see where it says delay until?
Yeah.
Just click into there and just put the date as the sort of last day of Canvas. So November, last day of November. You can just type it in. I just don't know what the last day of November is. I was off school on the day where everyone learned that rhyme. You know, that all the days have
September.
I don't know it. Yeah, I was off school.
Oh no.
Do you want us to teach you?
It's the same with same with the 9 times table. I have to do it on my fingers every time because that technique isn't there to do that. Just missed it. Just off school that day. You just never get it back, do you? It's too late now. I can never learn that rhyme.
I didn't learn it from school. I learned it from my mum.
Oh, see, I think maybe there's like a certain age you've got to be to learn it. Otherwise, you just can't acquire it.
I think past it now.
Yeah, I am past it. Cheers.
Yeah.
Yes, if you save that one. So basically, what that means is, if you don't have a date on there, it will immediately consider them non-responders until they respond, which is a bit confusing just for sort of management purposes. And just do the exact same thing on the other non-responded workflow node. So just down to the right of that one, yeah, just double click and do the exact same thing in there. You don't have to. It just means that it just reads a lot better from a workflow perspective. So just set that one to delay until as well. Yeah, fabulous. So just press save workflow on the top ribbon. And then if we could just go into load workflow again and just have a look at the Route 1 workflow. It doesn't look like you've had a special one built for Route 1.
This one?
So it's one of those 3 Route 1s. It just depends which one you used last time. So that has, yes, you see those dated nodes at the end from 1st of 11th, 2020. You have to change that to, roll that on by a year as well.
November, yeah.
And there's one more, yeah, just on there.
Oh, there's so much you've got to remember, isn't there?
There really is, yeah. Canvas used to be so easy, but the process has just gotten insane now. Yeah, just save workflow.
But does this have to be done every year?
Yeah, unfortunately. It would be ideal if there was a node that just said end of canvas. So same with those ones. But yeah, it would be a nice feature for the future. It's all a bit up in the air at the moment with no product owner. It's a bit it's a bit like a snake with no head at the moment.
I think you're getting somebody soon though, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah, we've made an offer. We're just waiting to hear back from them. I know that it's somebody with industry experience, but I don't know what tell me anything else.
Have you got a second choice?
Yeah, I think there's 2 candidates that are lined up at the moment.
Oh, that's good.
So we'll see. But they won't tell me anything about them. I just know that they both worked in the industry before, which is very good news. Because it's not an easy industry to learn.
No, we met Michael Coleman yesterday.
All right.
Yeah, he seemed really out there.
Out there.
He did. He was very funkily dressed.
He is. He wears very tight trousers, don't he, Paul? They all take the mick out of him.
Yeah, because he wears some very interesting clothing options.
He's trendy, isn't he? He's like
well, I don't know trends, so I could
Oh, it's funny. Do I need to do all of these then?
Well, you only really need to do the ones that you're actually going to use.
Well, I don't know which ones they are.
But yeah, I don't know which ones you're using. Don't bother with those ones because for the Route 2, you've obviously had one built special. So you see Canvas, you see Route 2 VOG. That was obviously a custom job. The ones that are in there already, so the ones that are Route 1 hyphen, those are all the ones that ship with Electra anyway.
Right. Okay.
I'm
all right then. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're good to go with those. So yeah, you will need to think about which Route 1 workflow to use if you're going to do ecoms or if you're just going to do just the normal CCA.
Yeah, we're just doing CCA.
Oh, okay. Then you don't need to worry about the ecom ones. So if you bring up that list again, so you need the one that's no e-communications. That's the workflow you'll be using.
That one.
Yeah, it literally just sends them a CCA and then closes itself off.
So once we run all that, it'll know that's the workflow we're going to use, will it?
No, when you're allocating your campaign groups in the annual Canvas preparation screen, that's when you will choose which workflow to use this year.
Okay.
I did cover it in the video we did yesterday.
Right.
So that's available if you want to rewatch it. But again, just give me a ring because I'm training next week and it'd be a good opportunity for the new starter in client care to have a look at the process. He's worked in elections for a long time, but still nice to see how it works in Electorate. So yeah, give me a shout if you get stuck. I'm happy to go.
All right, no problem. What I'll probably do then, I'll wait for I'll send the data off, and then on Thursday hopefully when it comes back, I'll just give you a message.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay.
Cool. All right, I'll speak to you then.
All right then, thank you very much.
Sorry, Paul. Sorry, I noticed that the session was being recorded. So are we able to, particularly that part towards the end when you were running through those points with Hayley in relation to the stages, is that something that Democracy Counts?
So if I put a message in the chat now, do you use Microsoft Teams as part of your sort of normal work?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Yeah. So it should, once the session's finished, it'll appear with a link.
Oh, right. Okay, fine.
In the chat to share. If it doesn't pop up, drop me a message and I'll upload it to YouTube instead. But by default, they get uploaded to Microsoft streaming service platform, whatever it's called. You should just be able to click on that. But if not, give me a shout and I'll put it up there.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Paul. Really appreciate it.
Cool.
All thanks a lot.
Thanks, Paul.
My pleasure. Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Oh, there we are.